Welcome back to the Spoonie and Caregiver Live podcast with me, your host, Jordan Banderas. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of the podcast. And let's go ahead and get into today's episode, shall we? Now, on today's episode, I want to start with this question, which is your illness holding you back? Now, a lot of the listeners are going to say, yes, duh. I have this debilitating disease that doesn't let me enjoy my life and I can't do what I used to do before, which is totally understandable. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, because this question I mean in a completely different way. And let me explain this here real quick. Something that happened when my wife got her diagnoses, which are a lot. That's why I can't go over all of them because she has so many. And what happened with her is that once she got her diagnosis, she started to focus a lot on the illness itself and the life that she was losing in this situation, because she used to be a workaholic. She used to work like 20 hours a day, and all of a sudden that came to a scorching halt. She couldn't work anymore. She couldn't do everything that she used to do. So her life literally stopped. And what I started noticing when that happened is that she was focused on that, literally focusing on her past or on the illness itself. And the way that I saw it, based on my own experience, that's why I don't talk a lot about my experience because with PTSD, because the way that I saw it with me is that, okay, I'm sick, I have an illness, now I have to get better. So that's pretty much what I did. I didn't dwell on the illness. I was like, I need to get better. And I went straight onto therapy and I worked on myself, and obviously I'm getting better. But what I saw in my wife was the completely opposite. Well, I mean, was the complete opposite. She was dwelling on the illness. She was dwelling on the life that she had to leave behind. And when I noticed that, one of the things that I had to talk to her about is that, hey, you need to stop focusing on the illness, because the illness is going to be there no matter what, unless you work on it, right? She said, yes. So we need to work on what we need to do so we can actually get you in a better place, mentally, physically, emotionally, all these things. And she took a long time to agree to this. So I know it's not going to be easy, especially if you're the caregiver. But here's what happened. One of the things that happened with her is that she didn't want to change doctors. She had this doctor that she had seen for a really long time, probably like 5 or 10 years even before she met me, like probably after she had her stroke. And one of the things that I told her is that, do you feel, or I asked her actually, do you feel like your doctor is giving you the care that you need for what you're facing right now? She said no. I was like, why don't you change the doctor? And her response obviously was harder for me to understand, because like I said, I see things in a different way than her. She said, I can't change the doctor because I have seen this doctor for so long. I don't want to start all over again, giving all the explanation and all of these things. And what I had to tell her is that, okay, that is true. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna have to start all over again with a new doctor whenever you decide to change the doctor. But here's the problem: if you feel that your doctor is not giving you the care that you need, so you can get to a better position in regards to your health and physical health, mental health, or anything that you're facing, why shouldn't you change your doctor, right? And she said, like, well, it's because, like she repeated the same thing. It's like, okay, why don't you try a different doctor? Because you're not gonna get just another doctor. You're gonna get a different opinion, a different point of view. And she decided to change the doctor. Like I say, it took her a long time. It took her a few months to understand that. So we finally changed the doctor. The new doctor that we got after that, was doing well. My wife was doing a little bit better, but then we hit a snag. She, the doctor didn't know what else to do, and my wife obviously started looking back again as the life that she had lost, because she was feeling better, and she was losing her life again. Like she was losing the battle. Like we hit the wall, and and again I told her, like, why don't we switch doctors again and again. She was fighting me on it. She wasn't ready. She didn't want to do it because she had to start all over again. And I finally convinced her. We went to another doctor, same thing happened, and then we went to another doctor, same thing happened, and we kept doing this for the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years, and until we finally found the right doctor that is actually studying every day more and more and more about different types of illnesses and some of the illnesses that my wife has, so my wife is getting the proper care. But this took us 4 years, 4 or 5 years, to get to this level. But the way that I see it, and that's why I'm sharing this story, is that my wife was focused on the illness. She was focused on the illness at first, until I had to step into the plate, or step up to the plate, and I never did anything to her like this, but I feel like I had to slap her away around so she could see in front of her and not behind her, literally. Like, that's how I feel, because I had to convince her. And my wife is stubborn, just like me. So it was a battle of two bulls, literally, or two rams going head to head, because she was focused on the life that she left behind because of the illness, and on the illness itself she wasn't focusing on getting better. And until she was able to understand that by changing doctors, she is seeing different, or I mean, she's seeing different practitioners, different opinions, different methods of care, or different practices. She was able to see that some of those practices, some of those new treatments were helping her. So by changing doctors, she started to see that maybe this was a good idea. And then when she started seeing changes on her behavior and on her illness, like her illness started to, like, slow down. That's the only way that I can put it. And she started to feeling a little bit better. She was like, you know what? I do deserve better care. And she has even told doctors, now she stands up for herself, and she tells doctors, like, if you're not going to give me the care that I need, tell me where else I can go, or tell me who else I can go see. And then doctors, like, step back and they're like, okay, let me do more research. And I like that, because now she's taking care of herself. And this is why it's important to know what you're focusing on, because like my wife, she was focusing on the wrong things. In this case, the illness itself, the life that she had to leave behind because of the illness. So if you're doing something similar with whatever you're facing, it could be an illness, it could be an event in your life, or anything like that. If you're just focusing on that, and you're not focusing on getting better or how to get better, then you will never be able to get better. And the only reason why I can say this is because I saw it with my wife. There were months, and I have talked about this, where I thought I was going to lose her. So it's very important to know what you're focusing on, because when you're focusing on the illness itself, then what's going to happen? You're just going to think about the illness. But how about if we start thinking about, what do I need to do to get better from this illness? What doctors do I need to go see so I can get better from this illness? So I can get better with this depression. So I can get better with this anxiety, with this chronic pain. Like, we haven't stopped looking for doctors. Every time we hit a snag with a doctor, or we hit a wall where the doctor is just, and you can sometimes tell, they just doing what they can because they don't know what else to do. They just prescribe whatever they and they don't even know if it's gonna work. I'm like, you know what? It's time to move on. And sometimes even she says it, like, I don't like this doctor. I'm gonna move on to the next, to a different doctor, and that's good. That's something that I think, because it has worked for me and my wife, I think everybody should do. Obviously, it's up to you. But when you focus on getting better, it will help you, just like it helped my wife. Because you might say to yourself, I want to get better. This doctor is not going to help me, so I need to find a better doctor. Then you're gonna do the research. Or if you live in a small town, a small rural area, or somewhere where, depending on your insurance, you can only see, let's say, like 2 3 doctors in your whole city, which it happens, maybe you need to do as much research as your doctor, because you don't know, and I have talked about this before, you don't know if your doctor is researching your condition. You don't know if your doctor has ever seen your condition. That's the problem too, that sometimes we expect our doctors to know everything just because they went to school, but school doesn't give them all the knowledge. So that's one of the things that my wife does, and I do it for my wife too, where I do the research on some of her symptoms, and when she goes to the doctor, she has a list and an explanation of, I feel like this, like this, like this, like this. And when I researched it online, it says that it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. And then it's up to the doctor. Like, you give the instruments to the doctor can use those instruments or that information to create the best care option for you. That's pretty much what me and my wife are doing. But that wouldn't have happened if we didn't focus on her getting better. And that's how her illness was holding her back. Now, her illness was holding her back this way. Now, I'm going to ask you this. If your illness is holding you back, how is it holding you back? Are you still thinking about your life that you're leaving behind, what you can't do right now because of the illness? Or are you focusing on what you need to do to at least regain some of your life? It might not be 100%. It might be just that you get enough energy to spend it with your friends, with your family, like, or do something that you love. But you might not be able to do everything that you used to do before, depending on what you're facing. So that's why I wanted to do this episode. And this is why it's so important. And again, I'm going to repeat myself, but it's important to know what you're focusing on. If you focus on getting better, you might be able to find the solution. The solutions may come to you. They may come to you because, again, with my wife, when I started looking for new doctors for her, this happened where I was like, I need to find a doctor that can do this. And then all of a sudden, I will find it. And the doctors that we have now are helping her. So I want the same for you. That's pretty much what I want, because I know it can be obtainable, it can be achievable, but sometimes we have to do the footwork. It's not going to come to us. And focusing on the illness itself is going to prevent you from getting to that point where you can find the right doctors or the right information or the right treatment. But that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the shares, likes, and everything. So don't forget to share, like, subscribe, so we can grow and more people can find the support that they need on our community. And also don't forget to share I already said that. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you want to share your story or send me a question, don't forget to send it to me on the Spoonie and Caregiver live@gmail.com if you want to do it anonymously, or you can post it on Facebook as well, or send it to me on IM. And I'll leave you like always. As always, take care of yourself and have a great day.